Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Skylines II. Welcome back to Linden, and welcome back to the channel. It's been about a week since the last episode. It's been a bit over a week. I was on vacation. We talked about that. We all knew about that. But on the way back from my vacation, someone on my flight, I'm not naming names because I don't have names to name, but someone on my flight was coughing like a toddler that had never been taught to cover their mouth, and needless to say, I got kind of sick for about a week. So we're back. I can speak now, which is great. I wasn't able to for a while, but now I can. So in the last episode, we built this, which is Little Paris. This was built using the France or French. I don't know what they're using in the title of that region pack, but it was built using the French region pack and a little bit of modding with anarchy and things of the type. We also put Notre Dame in there, which I think looks fantastic. And I saw a couple of people mentioning that they were happy to see me put it on an island because it is there on an island in real life. That's why I put it there. I went and looked at Google Maps and I was pretty sure already that it was on an island, but I wanted to be sure. And so I made an island for it. I also saw a comment that mentioned that I keep complaining about Colossal Order putting fences around their parks. And then every time I delete a fence around a park like this one, I go and put my own fence around it. And yeah, that's fair enough. I've never felt more called out in my life, but yeah, that's fair enough. Now today we are obviously a little bit late getting around to playing with the German region pack. It's been about a week since it came out, so I'm not gonna go through every single little thing that was added in the pack, but I do want to focus on playing with some of those assets today because I have some ideas for what we can do with Linden, which, by the way, is kind of doing okay. We're still having these problems with not enough customers, and that's something that I'm really not all that concerned about, to be completely honest with you. We are getting some new people, and we're making a lot of money right now, which is good because I'm probably going to spend a lot of money, and I'm probably going to hurt our income with some of the things I would like to build. But before we get to that, I want to come out to Victoria Glen, which is our little village out here on the edge of the map where the frame rate is so much better. I love it out here. I decided to come out here between episodes and just build a little French square because I figured that would be a decent idea. We have a little fire station right here. We have a little medical center right here. And then around the sides, we just have these little office buildings. I think it looks cool. And honestly, I'm half inclined to swap out a bunch of these commercial buildings with French buildings because I think it might just look a little bit better. We might have to use French mixed housing to get them to sort of look the way I would want them to, or we could be a little bit cheeky and we could start by putting some German mixed housing out here, which I'm going to be honest with you, I kind of forgot that existed. And I kind of think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go in here and bulldoze these commercial buildings because they just look out of place. This is supposed to be a quaint little village, and we have these guys. They just don't, I don't know. They don't look right out here. So we're going to get rid of those. We don't have any residential demand, so I'm not 100% sure that these buildings will even grow. I also don't know if there is a, little 2x German building, but we'll see what happens. We'll place these guys in and see if anything grows in there. And speaking of placing some German buildings, I want to come in here and place a little police department. We have this fire station, we have this medical center, but we also have a German police station, which just so happens to fit perfectly, if I can get it to line itself up properly, in this little square, which is exactly where I would like it to go. And I'm kind of thinking here, I think this is a good spot, or I could put it on the other side and continue those trees across. I think that's what I'm going to do. I think we'll continue this surface. We'll put some trees in there. And I think this looks pretty good looking out onto this little park. So very quickly, let's go in here with our surfaces. Let's get ourselves the grass surface, and let me just line this little space with a beautiful grass surface, just going around like this, right up to about there and straight over to about there. We can use the eyedropper to grab myself the tree that I'm looking for, which is a birch tree, but I'm feeling like being fancy today, so we're using the eyedropper for it. And we'll have this be mature. And I suppose we'll do 1, we'll do 2, and we'll do 3 of them right there. And I think that looks all right. It's just a simple little thing. It's a little police station. We do admittedly have a police station up here already, so I don't know that we necessarily needed a second one, but I think this just, it just looks good. It just fills up that space really well. Although I'm going to be honest, I kind of want to get rid of this parking lot. I'm not going to, because we do need parking around here, but I kind of want to get rid of it, put some stuff in here, surround this with more German buildings. We're going to have German buildings across here. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to overdo it. Although I am thinking I could be a little bit cheeky and get rid of this police station since we don't happen to need it anymore. Get rid of those buildings and then go in here with some French offices. I don't know if this is too much. I don't know if this is a bad idea, but we have office demand and we don't need 2 police stations out here. So let's let this build. Let's see what this is going to look like. I'm hoping we can get something in that little square right there. that would be great. What if I bulldoze you? No, it's just going to rebuild those guys. I don't know that that square is going to fill up, which is slightly concerning. Although I guess if I really wanted to, I could go in here with something like a motorcycle parking lot, which that seems silly. That seems like a really silly use of that space. But you know what? It's going to live right there and that'll be fine. It actually fills it in pretty well, to be honest. Okay, you know what? I'm a little bit impatient, so I'm going to cheat by using Find It to place some German buildings here. And you know what? That looks amazing. I love it. I absolutely love it. We also have some 2x2s, which can go at this corner and at this corner. And then we have, let's see, I don't want the corner ones. I'm not super interested in those. I just want our regular mixed buildings. We have a 3x2 right here, which is also a level 1. I'm going to try and stick with level 1 buildings, I think. I think that makes the most sense. Do we have a 3x3? I'm pretty sure I can search for 3x. Can I get a 3x3? We have corner 3x3s. We do not have a regular. Okay. Do we have a 2x3 that's available? We don't have a 2x3 either, which is really unfortunate. That's okay though. I'm pretty sure I can make this work. We might just have to stick with some slightly smaller buildings, which is not the end of the world at all. We have got the corner 3x3, corner. Let's have a little look. So these are still all of our corner pieces. This is what I'm looking for here. So 3x2 is probably what we're going to be sticking with. 3x4 is absolutely not. 2x6, absolutely not. And 2x4, absolutely not. 2x2. So it's going to be 3x2s and 2x2s. By the looks of it. And again, I'm going to stick with level 1. So we'll go and do this and we'll do this. And then we'll grab ourselves a little 3x2 here and here. And I guess I'm just sort of going to dot these across and see what we can do. And actually that fits perfectly and they look adorable. I like that a lot. That looks amazing. That looks really, really good. I love those buildings. This is genuinely the first time that I'm seeing these because every time I've toyed with this pack, there's not enough demand in Linden for them to build. So genuinely, this is the first time I'm getting to see them. I also really don't like what I've done with the trees in here. So I'm going to clear these guys out and maybe have a little bit of fun with these row houses. Although they're all different as well. So I don't really know that I want to have fun with the row houses. I wonder what I could do here. We have got a pretty consistent surface around here, so it might just be for the best for me to go in with a regular old grass surface. So that looks fine. I think what we should do with this is maybe a little bit of graffiti on these buildings, which I'm going to lock because I'm going to be messing with them. And I'm not super worried about this one. I think this one actually we can lock as well because I'll probably do some graffiti on that wall as well. The rest of them can absolutely upgrade if they happen to want to do that, but not before I go in here with some little bushes. I want 2 meters spacing on these guys. So a little something there. And we are just going to do, we also want fixed length right here. I'm going to go to about there. I'm going to go to, this corner. I was going to say this corner is going to be tricky. It's really not. I just got to be a little bit more precise with it. We're going to go to about there. That should be fine. Same thing on the other side. So right to about this spot. And we want to do right to about, how many do we have on that side? 1, 2, 3, 4 up until this midpoint. So about there and about there. And I think that looks all right. It's a nice little border for the space. I want to say a couple of poplar trees might be in order with, say, 6 meters spacing and maybe some slightly larger trees while we're here. So we're going to go from this spot down to about there. I think 4 poplar trees looks pretty solid. So 2 about there. And then for the space between the buildings, I don't really know. We could do a bunch of bushes. Maybe we just sort of freeform it. Maybe we just go in and place a bunch of birch trees in a few spots, maybe a chestnut tree, maybe 1 alder tree. Let's just go a little bit nuts with it. And apparently my definition of going a little bit nuts with it is to be relatively tame with it, which is new for me. I'm never really this reserved when it comes to placing trees. So maybe being sick for a week has kind of turned over a new leaf in my life, and I'm going to be much more reserved with it. I'm lying, obviously. How did this happen? Oh man, there's like no traffic through here, and yet somehow there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars involved in. That's terrible. That is terrible. Anyway, I think what I'd like to do is come in here with some decals. I want to get some graffiti, and I do want to put it on these walls. So we are going to make sure that it sticks to the walls properly. And I think we'll go for, you know what? I think Algernon, we can get your graffiti right about there. I think we can go and get ourselves Yin Yang. Oh, that one's huge. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely doing that. Over on this side, we can go for Cuboid. I think I've already put Cuboid's graffiti in. No, was that Columbia County that I did the graffiti? I don't think I did graffiti in this series. So this is good. We can do we can do graffiti for the first time in Linden. And if it's not the first time, then I don't know. I forgot, I guess. That's fine. It's not a big deal. As for over here, these guys have sort of come together. It definitely looks like some of these office buildings are designed to be sort of back to back, and others are, well, yeah, there's supposed to be a bit of space around them. I don't know that I love this for Victoria Glen. I think these buildings are a little bit too big. So I'm going to go in. I'm going to remove them. I'm going to take these guys out as well. And I'm going to have a little bit of fun with Find It again. And I would like to see what exactly we could do here, because we do now have some slightly larger mixed use buildings that we can play with here, since we have a bit more space. And honestly, I think I'm going to play around a little bit with some residential buildings, because this is gorgeous. And that is not a word that's in my vocabulary all that much, but this is stunning. That is amazing level of detail on that building. That looks absolutely incredible. And so I love the idea that you get off the train here, you look down the street and you see that building right there. Yeah, you're going to be happy to be in Victoria Glen. I definitely think. Now, this guy doesn't fit perfectly against the side of this building. This one is pretty cool looking as well. I love these buildings. I really do. They're absolutely incredible looking. Like really good. I'm so happy just exploring these guys. It's really neat. I also realize I've searched for L1, but it's not giving me level 1 buildings. So let's just put this guy in here and let's have a little look and see if I can get myself. I don't want the corner buildings. I want to, well, actually, you know what? I do still want the corner buildings, because we need to get these corners over here. So we got this guy. It is pretty much the same as the other building that we have in here. I'm pretty sure we're going to have to do the same buildings in each corner, unfortunately. So it's going to be this guy again, which again, you know what, as far as complaints go, having to place this building again is really not a big deal, because it's just that good. It's just that good looking. Absolutely love that. Now, in terms of other residential buildings in here, we kind of just need these guys. So if I could get a little something by 3, that would be great. We get a 3 by 6, a 3 by 2. I'm not seeing any, you know, whatever by 3, which is a little bit concerning. Although I suppose what I could do is just put a little pedestrian path down through here and then go and place some regular little 2x2 buildings on this. So something like that and something like that. And the only downside to placing these is that these guys do have windows on the back, which means they're going to be looking out at the back of this building, which means that unfortunately they're looking straight at a wall. And it's kind of the same thing over on this side as well. This guy is definitely designed to be in a block with other buildings that sort of look like that. And it's very tempting to just try and build a little city block that does that. But honestly, I think we're okay. I don't think we need to be doing that. I think that might be a little excessive. I would, however, like to test whether or not I can copy the paint scheme over to another building. Well, I can, but that's that's not really what I was looking for. I'm going to be honest with you. That's definitely not the goal there. Oh, that changes the roof as well. What am I doing? That's the windows. What is this one? Is this the roof? That's the roof. Okay. Okay. What if I copy that color and paste it to the roof? That's not the color I was looking for. Copy you? Try pasting you to the roof. Oh, getting there. We're almost. It must be the first one. And, you know what? Maybe we'll just leave them be. Maybe that's what we're gonna do. Is just sort of leave them be. I think that's, yeah. Don't really want to sit and mess with those all that much longer. I think this looks fine though. I think it looks all right. Those buildings seem a little bit smaller than the French ones in a sense. They're residential at least, which is good. And you know what? Just to make sure that they don't go anywhere, let's get some German medium density housing into those tiles, and hopefully people are going to want to live there. I think it looks good though. I think it looks all right. My only thought is that maybe these buildings should be swapped out for some French offices as well. I don't know if we have any little, 3x or 2x French offices to build in there. So that might be slightly problematic, but we will see. They're not building already and we do have demand, so I'm going to say that they don't exist. No, I take it back. Apparently they do exist, which is fantastic. Those should be quite small as well, which is good. So we'll have a little bit of France right there, just alongside the train tracks. We got the German buildings in there, which I think looks pretty solid. And honestly, the last little thing I'd like to do out here, I'd like to come back and I'd like to get rid of this parking lot. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I think we get rid of these guys. I think we get rid of this parking lot, and I think we put some buildings in here that are going to look a little bit better. So take this out. What I could maybe do is another little set of French offices. So we could do, well, first and foremost, let me make sure that this is going to look good. So I want to get an alleyway and bring it down here. So we're going to have some corner buildings, and I think that's going to be important. And then I think we do a little something like this, and that gives us a space in the middle that I could play around with. And I'm realizing we could do something that I've done before. So let me take this out. Let me take this out. Let me get these buildings to come together, which they shouldn't really have any trouble doing. And then basically we want to go in here with, let's see, turn off building snapping. We want an alleyway there, and we want an alleyway there. And I want to do a little section of 2-lane road right here. And so what that does is technically gives us parking in the middle there. I know that looks dumb. Like, I know that looks dumb, but you have to admit that it is going to give us parking, right? It's, I don't know if I like that. I don't know if, I don't know if that's what I want to do here. I don't think it is what I want to do. I think what I'd rather do is just make this walkable. Although now, oh, hold on. I've messed with I need to keep that road there until I get the corner building. So I need this building to develop and be a corner building. And then because it's technically on this road, it's on Florence Lane, it's going to be fine. I can put some pedestrian space through here. We'll have a little square with some trees and some details. And you know what? We're just not going to worry about the parking. And honestly, the way I think I'm going to do this is just using some paths. I'm not going to bother with invisible roads or paths or anything like that. I think we can get away with something really nice and simple like this. We are going to have to play around with some surfaces, which is totally fine. We can do that. We have the technology. But I think this is just the simplest way to do it. I think we can go in here with, I want to say some poplar trees. I'm going to say we want to get ourselves a little line of them going between these paths. So we'll do something like this. We'll do exactly the same over on this side, where again, we are going to have to play around with some surfaces, which is totally fine. And then in the middle here, I'm kind of inclined to say that we just line it in bushes and we just have this place be just a nice little bit of green space between all of these buildings. That just seems like a good way to go. So we'll bring this over. We'll bring these guys down to about here. We'll do the same thing over on this side as well. And you know what I said earlier about the frame rate out here being so much better than in the main city? I'm going to be honest. There's a little part of me that is stalling going back to Linden itself, because I'm kind of enjoying having roughly probably 25 frames per second out here versus the 15 that we get in Linden. So yeah, there's a little part of me that is stalling the process of going back to Linden, because I do have a pretty big idea for what I'd like to do back there, but I want to see this build first and then maybe get rid of these parks. Okay, you know what? I need to reel it in a little bit. Let me move this one so it's facing the police station, and let me bulldoze these ones. I'm not going to put buildings in there, but I want to see if there's like another park that I could put in there that might be better for the space. So a dog park, for example. That's not a small plaza at all. That's way too big. That's also too big. These might all be a little bit too big. We do have these playgrounds though, which would be good. The multi-purpose is way too big. Yeah, I think the rest of these are all a little bit huge, and I think that's a little bit silly. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to, ooh, hold on a minute. Do I want to just do a skate? Yeah, I'm doing the skate park. It fits perfectly. It fits really well. I don't know if I love it, but it does fit really well, so it's gonna stay there. And then for this park, I want to bring this surface out to the edges here, so it just looks like it belongs on this little bit of land, which it now does. And am I going to be so bold as to put some kind of fence around this to continue my little thing of complaining about fences on these parks? I'm going to put some hedges. I think hedges around this look pretty good. I think that looks all right. It kind of matches what we have going on over there. And I want to say that's probably enough. As for over here, we do have a surface that's kind of extending underneath this this little bit of path. And honestly, I kind of like it. I don't dislike it. Over on this side, maybe the same thing. Maybe the trees don't extend the whole way there. And then maybe we go for a different surface in here just because that's a thing I'm doing now, apparently. So can I put like a node here? I don't think I'm going to be able to get this surface to not extend up to, oh, never mind. That sorted it out nice and quickly. Okay. Can I just get it to extend under the building? Oh, okay. You know what? It can just extend across the road. That's fine. And you know, while this isn't perfect and it does just put more trees in there, I like it. We got some planters. We got some nice blue flowers. We got some birch trees growing out of them as well. We got people walking through there. I think that is a much better use of the space than what we had going on there before. I really do. I like this a lot. I like that the French offices aren't too huge. And then I'm slightly tempted to do more graffiti on these walls. I know I probably shouldn't, but it's very tempting. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to, because in my head, Victoria Glen is a lovely place to be, and putting graffiti everywhere really kind of flies in the face of that. I also just want to mention that this is a bit much, isn't it? You know what? we're just gonna undo that. Is what we're gonna do, and we're gonna put some low density offices back into that space, because it definitely looked better than whatever those French buildings were doing. So that's a definite improvement. We have got a little bit of space here to play with. What have we got there at the minute? Just low density offices. Oh, that's huge. Okay. Can I do this to fill that space in? Near enough. I think that's going to be better than what we had going on there. And you know, it's just hit me that I haven't played around with the upgrades for the German police station. So we have this. It's an office extension, adds additional floor space, and basically just does that to the building, which I think is great. It also, I don't actually know what it does. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not 100% sure what the point in that is, but fair enough. We can also get 8 more patrol cars with a garage extension at the back there, which I think I'm going to do. I think that looks all right. And I have to be honest, if of all places, even though I just said that I don't think Victoria Glen is the type of place to have graffiti, if there was one place that was going to have graffiti, it is going to be a wall at the back of a police station. So I think we're gonna be a little bit cheeky here, and we're just gonna do this, and we'll come down to this end, and we'll do this one as well. Just being a little bit cheeky with it. Maybe one in the middle as well, just because we can. So we'll do that. And I think that I don't think the people that live above these shops, and I don't think the shop owners would be too pleased about that. And I imagine that's the type of thing that will get cleaned up really, really quickly. But it just seems right, you know, of all places that are going to have a little bit of graffiti, I do think the back of a police station is going to be the one. I also think a little bit of dirt just sort of dripping down here might be in order. Just again, I don't imagine this side of the station gets all that much love. I don't imagine they're probably looking at it all that often. So I think that's good. Just a little bit of detail, just a little bit of dirt, a little bit of graffiti. I think that looks good. I think that's a really good little spot and a little center for Victoria Glen. I like that a lot. It's a bit more density than we were maybe looking for out here, but I think it works. I think what we have going on here, I think it works. The only thing I would be tempted to do is go through and start changing the rooftops on some of these row houses to be that same shade of orange. I don't know if I want to do that though. I don't know if that's going to look good. It might be a bit much. I want to go a little bit less saturated, maybe a little bit darker. Does that look okay? It's really hard to tell, isn't it? I mean, some of them have it. These guys have it. Oh, and actually, you know, it kind of does work, doesn't it? I don't think I'm going to do it for all of them. And I don't think I'm going to do it for any more of them because we've spent enough time out here already today that I think we're good. I think Victoria Glen's had a nice little upgrade with a German police station, a couple of German buildings, but that's really not what I was going to focus on today. Because over in the city, we have Emerson, and Emerson has largely been adjacent to our proper downtown. Our downtown is kind of here. We've obviously got our National Gallery of Art. We have a university here, which is huge. We have our City Hall, which I've never loved that this is asymmetrical. I'm going to be honest with you. I've never, it's not even central on the tile that it's. I'm going to stop looking at that because it's going to make me mad. It's going to bring the devil out of me. I'm not going to look at that. Emerson though has always been sort of adjacent to that, right? We have Emerson train station, which currently has 488 people waiting, which I thought was a lot. And then I realized that it's not, because I went and hovered over our original train station that we placed over a year ago, which currently has 1,000 people waiting. When I last hovered over it, it had 1,700 people waiting. So this, by all means, is our main train station. But I don't think it's going to be as interesting to mess around with Applegate as it is to mess around with Emerson. And the reason I'm looking at a train station for Emerson is because one of the new buildings that was added with the German region pack was the historic Central Station, and it is gorgeous. It is another beautiful building that you already know I want to mess around with. So there's a few things we have to do before I can do that. And thing number one is going to be getting some new bus stops, because we have a bunch of buses that come in here and that are going to be interrupted as I do some construction here. And I don't really want to mess with the lines too much. So I'm going to say bus stop right there. I'm going to say bus stop right there and right there. I'm going to say right there and right there. And I'm just going to dot a bunch of bus stops across here because there are multiple bus lines that come in here. I don't think there's this many, but we're going to do all of this and then basically just go in and say this line is going to move to here for now. And then this line is going to move to here for the time being. This one's going to move to there for the time being, just so it kind of continues around in the way that I would like it to. That one is definitely behaving interestingly. This guy is going to go to right about there. This one can go to right about there. We have a red line and a blue line. So that moves all of the buses off of this road, which might not even exist in a little bit. That's kind of why I'm getting rid of the bus lines. And I'm going to get rid of all of the zoning in this space as well. I'm also going to clear out this block because I know for a fact that the historic train station has a slightly different spacing than the one that we're using. So all of these tracks are going to have to be shifted around a little bit, which is kind of a pain to do, but we'll figure it out. I also know it's not super realistic to be just bulldozing entire city blocks, but I mean, Linden has never really been particularly realistic, and playing city skylines in a somewhat realistic way has never really been my thing. So I'm just going to sort of continue to do what I'm doing here, and we're really not going to worry too much about it. I would like to go in and clear out all of these trees. I don't think I'm going to be messing too much with anything that I've placed outside of this space. So just all of these guys need to go away. All of these guys need to go away as well. And all of these buildings need to go away as well, because again, different layout to what we have so far. We do have a, what is this? A transformer station. That's going to be slightly problematic, but we'll figure it out. We also need to try and remember the rough layout that we have going on here so that I can sort of recreate that with the new station. Now, looking at all of this, this road reasonably could stay, but I think what I'm going to do is get rid of this, and I think I'm going to get rid of this guy as well. And I'm going to just continue that road straight down to the existing avenue because it links up to another avenue. So that sort of makes sense to me. I want to get rid of these surfaces because we don't need them. And I want to get rid of all of these path sections because we really don't need those right now either. And then I'm also going to go in and just start taking out these train tracks because those are also not needed right now. We're going to go right back to about there, which is probably going to have to go back further, but we're not going to stress too much about that. We'll take out these guys as well, right back to about there. And then we're just going to bulldoze the station itself, which I have to remember is going to be a bit of a problem because there was a subway connection underneath this thing, which I'm going to be honest with you, not really too sure what I'm going to do about that just yet. I haven't really thought about it. And I also kind of forgot that this was built on a hill. That's troubling. That's that's going to give us some problems. Let me flatten this terrain a fair bit around here. We might have to do some stuff with retaining walls. We might have to do some stuff with keys, but I want to flatten this land for now and then get the station built and figure out what exactly I'm going to be doing. I'm also thinking we're going to use move it to grab some nodes because I want to grab this node and this node, and I want them to be leveled, which I think is Control H. Yeah. So Control H levels it to this node on the right, which means I probably want to grab terrain at that height and just sort of lower everything to that height, which still isn't really behaving, but I think that's about as good as we're going to get. So we're just going to lower everything that little bit further to match that new bit of terrain right there. So that seems pretty good. Again, not super realistic, really not super worried about it. And you know what I'm realizing probably would have made more sense is taking this opportunity to move the station down a little bit so we have more room on this side. So let's do that. That's that really might just make that a little bit more sense. Is that road's misbehaving a little bit? I'll tell you what we'll do. Take those guys out, and we're just going to rebuild that entire stretch of road. So right down to about there is pretty solid. That's nice and level. It's actually kind of tempting to I could use my giant 2-lane boulevard for this, which might be kind of silly. But at the same time, if we're going to have a historic train station, having a big old boulevard would be kind of cool. Maybe even just the 4-lane divided road. And then we get rid of this one-way system that we have going on. The only problem is we have an avenue next to it. You know what? Let's not overcomplicate it. Let's keep it simple, stupid, and let's just build this new train station. So it's going to live, annoyingly, not centrally on this this section of road. That's really frustrating. That's really frustrating. Every single time I try to build something cool in Cities Skylines 2, it's never going to fit perfectly. So it's going to live there. And we're going to get rid of that bit of road because we're going to be messing with the terrain heights anyway. So all these little bits of road can go away. This thing does look amazing, and it does have some cool upgrades as well. Obviously, extra platform for 1, and then we have a rear exit for 2, and then we have some commercial businesses. And what that does is it just adds, you can just kind of see a bunch of benches, a bunch of tables. It's a really cool little upgrade. The only issue now is I need to figure out how we're connecting up this rear exit. I hadn't really thought about that either. And I suppose for now we could stick with an alleyway. I want to say that's probably fair enough. So we'll go and do this for the time being. And that's how people can kind of get out at the back, which again, I want to say is probably fair enough. And then we have to get, you know, some trains through here. And this is going to be the challenge because what I can do is get myself some double train tracks, and I can obviously turn off my guidelines, and we can bring this guy straight out. And that's cool. That's great. We can bring this straight through. It doesn't line up anywhere that I know of with the old track. Yeah, it's slightly askew. So this entire stretch of track is going to have to be redone, which means I need to redo these connections as well. And unfortunately, that's going to mean I have to get rid of a bunch more buildings, which kind of sucks to do because one of them is a signature building. So this guy is going to have to be moved manually for the time being, and it is supposed to be wall to wall by the looks of it. So yeah, hadn't really figured that into the equation right here. But I suppose what I'll do for now is, since the game isn't running, I'm just going to put it on that corner, which is very much in the way of some future train tracks, but that's fine. We're not going to worry about it. Now, what I have done in here is built these sections of track, and they are all elevated because even though this terrain is going to be smoothed out, I would like to keep these guys nice and level until they don't have to be level anymore. What I would also like to do is take out this section of road, and I want to go in here and get myself another 4-lane divided road. I want it to be ground level, which is, I believe, that is a strip of grass to adorn the side of the road. That's not really what I'm looking for. Wide median's kind of cool as well. What I'd like to do is keep it on the ground, and I would like to enable constant slope. And in doing this, what I should be able to do is go from this side to this side, and we get a nice constant slope. It gives us a really sharp edge there. It is raised up in the middle a little bit, but I'm not super worried about that. As for this road, I think we can just get rid of it for the time being. Although we have a little bit of asymmetry going on there. I don't know that I'm super concerned about that. I think I'm going to get rid of this guy as well. And that is going to mess with our ability to place buildings in the middle here. So maybe we should get ourselves some more pedestrian streets through here. That might be a pretty good idea. And we'll just go straight across to about there. We'll do the same thing down here. We'll go straight across to about there. And again, those straight slopes just work to sort of give us an idea of where the terrain is going to go. It lets me build in here, which is great. So for the time being, we'll take out this zoning. We're going to take out zoning on this side as well. We are going to take out zoning in all of these spaces because we do not want this to rebuild, even though I'm not running the simulation. I don't want to chance it. And now I just need to connect the train tracks, which it is annoying how close it is to lining up with this this track back here, but it's fine. We can make this work. Now this is a subway track. We're going to take it back to about there. These guys are realistically the only section of these tracks that needs to be connected is the one that heads out to the region. So this part can probably just go away completely. And this part can go away completely. And then what I'm going to do is take these guys back about halfway, just so I remember what I need to do here. And then this entire section of track just needs to go away. That's basically what we're doing. It needs to go all the way back to, I'm going to say here. I think it goes all the way back. I think we redo this entire section, and I think we can make it look pretty good. At least I hope we can make it look pretty good. And I'm thinking these guys are going to have to merge into this section of track in one way, shape, or form. So looking at this, what we're dealing with at the minute is a -5% grade. If we increase that, we get -2.6. Now that I think I can deal with. It doesn't seem too steep. The only problem is this is super elevated, and it needs to be much, much lower for what I'd like to do on the other side here with connecting to these guys. So I'm going to bring this back down to a 10-meter elevation, because I think that's kind of where it needs to be. And I'm going to go and just do, I'm just going to do this. Now this part probably could stay relatively elevated because it is going to be going across the water. Let's go for a -5%. That seems fine. And then all of this just needs to be sloped in a way that kind of makes sense. Now this slope seems pretty good. This is kind of where it starts getting a little unreasonable. So we'll take out all of this and let's take a look and see what our grade would look like from there to there. -8%. Is that too low? It does go over the street lights, which seems fine. This seems like a really sharp little bend in the tracks there. So I'm kind of wondering if I could tidy that up a little bit. So it's a little bit more gradual, which honestly looks fine. Right here, kind of a similar thing going on with a little sharp bend in the tracks. So doing this kind of sorts that out. And honestly, while it is definitely quite steep, I want to say that works. So now on this side of things, what we can do is grab this track. We'll bring it over. It is going to go, let's say 64 meters, -0.1 on the grade is totally fine. And I just need to curve this in a way that's going to connect these guys together. So this guy needs to come out and line up with that bit of track. And that seems pretty good. 225 meters there. It is going to go to about there. It's a 1.3% grade, which is fine. And that looks all right to me. I don't mind that. That gives us the connection we're looking for. These guys will need reconnected. These guys will need connected here as well. But that's easy. That's easy to do. All right, so we have this train line or the train track all reconnected. Whether or not the train lines are doing what I want them to do, I doubt it, because this side still hasn't been reconnected. I was about to go on and on and on about how, you know, we've done this and we've done that, we've done the other, but I absolutely forgot to connect the other side of the tracks. So that's good. That's a good start. I'll tell you what we will do is we'll put this building right here because we can get some buildings on either side of it, and I think that's going to be great. As for this side of things, we have got a little bit more space to play with, which is great. So let's make sure that this is in fact on the ground and that this is going to come straight. Oh, wait a minute. We need to play with the terrain a little bit here. In fact, do we need to play with the terrain? Because if I have straight slopes on, then it really shouldn't matter. And this should just conform to, it should just do that. It'll just pull the terrain up, which is honestly kind of what I'm looking for. So let's just do that. Let's just pull this straight through. The only problem is we're going to be dealing with the fact that we're going to have a bunch of junctions really close to each other right here, which I don't know that the game is going to love me for doing. There's definitely a possibility the game's not going to be happy about this. Although that seems to kind of work as well. And then on the other side of things, it's whatever. We can probably flatten that terrain out a little bit just to make life a little easier for us. I don't remember how exactly this all has to connect together, though. That's going to be the real struggle with this whole thing, but we'll figure that out. Although in saying that, looking at this train right here, I think we can make a safe bet that this probably needs to come out kind of to there, and then it needs to curve over into the existing section of track. Now, the question is, can I get this curve to happen without anarchy? I absolutely can, which is good. I'd like it to happen without anarchy because I think that makes life that little bit easier. Now for this section, I'm kind of thinking that I don't want to mess around too much, and I would kind of like to just do this, which looks terrible, so never mind, we're not going to do that. I might have to mess around a little bit more because that was dreadful. This side is going to be even trickier because it needs to go down to here and curve back, which the game really isn't going to like me trying to do because that's a really, really tight curve for a train to take, as you can see. So this... I might have to get a little bit more creative with that one. Okay, so this is more or less all reconnected. It's not exactly perfect, and there are some lines that are doing some weird things. So I think what I'm going to do, honestly, is just go in here and start to clear out some of the train lines that we have. I think it's going to be easier to just rebuild these than it's going to be to try any other sort of thing that we have going on here. So Emerson to Albert Buddy, probably. We'll go with Buddy. We'll clear that one out. Same with Emerson to Morton Hampstead, that can go. Emerson to Penrith can go. Emerson to Village is probably fine. That one just goes, yeah, just out to there. So that one's totally fine. I don't know what this line is. That's Applegate to Garden Plain via Emerson and Airport. That is fine. That line is doing what I need it to do. It's just those initial lines that were kind of giving us some trouble. So what I would like to do is I'd like to come in here and start rebuilding some lines. And I think the way we're going to do this is instead of going sort of down to Applegate and doing all that kind of stuff, because we don't have a line that goes like from these platforms down towards Applegate, like by these platforms, these top two. So we're just going to go from, I want to say here. Yeah. So from that platform, we're just going to head out to the region. So out to Penrith, and we're just going to come back. So that'll just be a line that sort of does that. It just goes out to Penrith and it comes back, and that's honestly fine. This line was Applegate to Garden Plain via Emerson and Airport. So it goes about as far as here. So we now have no lines that go out to the region on that side. So what we'll do is grab one from here. So it's going to go from Emerson to this bottom platform in Applegate, and it can continue all the way. I probably should put a passenger station out here. That would probably make a lot of sense, but we're not doing that right now. It's going to go out to Albert Butty. It is going to come back to this platform in Applegate, and it is going to go straight into Emerson Station, or Emerson Historical Station, right about there. We do have another platform on this side that we could play with if I really wanted to. Do I really want to is the question. And I mean, looking at it, there isn't, or at least there doesn't seem to be an Emerson line that goes out to Morton Hampstead. So that, I think, is what we'll do with that other platform. So from here, we're going to go straight out to Morton Hampstead, and we are going to come straight back. Now, whether or not this is going to be good for everything, I don't really know. You're going to have to be changing platforms a little bit now, which might be annoying for people, but I think I'm kind of willing to just have this be how we do things. And if I now look at my train lines, we still have 12 of them. We just kind of redid those first few. In fact, we have this line as well, which I don't know what that is, but so train line 1, oh boy, this is where I have to start remembering what they are. So 1 and 2 and 3. So I know 3 was Emerson to Morton. We'll just do that because it's nice and quick. Let's have a look at you. So this line is what exactly? So Historic Central Station, train station, Albert Butty. All right, so this was Emerson. We'll just do Albert because it's easier. I'm not gonna worry too much about how everything else goes there. I also need to, I need to figure out what train we're using for this, because we do have that, I do have that mod enabled that lets me do that. So that's kind of fun. All right, let me have a look at line number 1, which was Historic Central Station going to Penrith. So that is going to be Emerson to Penrith, right about there. And I'm going to say that for now, we are going to use some smaller passenger trains because I don't know how busy these lines are necessarily going to be. So we'll do the smaller passenger one for the Penrith line. I also want to make sure that we're only doing one vehicle for now. Again, I don't know how in demand that line's going to be, so I'm really not super concerned about it. That's my buses. So then line number 2, Emerson to Albert, is 3 vehicles. Bring that down to 1. And let's do the same thing. We'll just use the sort of the EU style passenger train with 3 segments, just a small little train right there. And then for line number 3 out to Morton Hampstead, it is same thing, 1 train. Let's do passenger train 3 segments. And I should probably get these colors changed up. And I think just for the hell of it, I'm going to go for a nice sort of blue on these guys. Now, before this all gets up and running again, we still need to play with the terrain because it's still a little bit of a mess right now. So what I'm going to do is take out this road and I'm going to extend from here going out to about there because I think that lines up. It doesn't line up with my little alleyway on the other side. That's a little bit unfortunate. Can I get the alleyway to line up with things? Maybe snapping to the sides of a building is going to be the way to go with this. Maybe taking you out and doing exactly the same thing so it snaps to the sides of the building. It's not going to be perfect. So these guys aren't going to be perfectly in line, but honestly, that's fine. What I would like to do is go from here right down to there and just see what it does to the terrain. And that's about what I was expecting. It's a pretty steep little section of road, but honestly, that's fine. That's totally okay. On this side of things, we're going to do exactly the same thing. We're just going to go right down. We're going to carve out that terrain. It's really about all I can do with it. So it's going to have to be okay. And then here, same thing. We're going to go up to the road right there. And that just sort of surrounds this place, which is kind of what I'm looking for. The only issue I have at this point is I don't know exactly what I'm doing with my subway line, although I am looking at this space over here and it's giving me a bit of an idea. If I use my better bulldozer, I would like to go in here and I want to start removing individual sub elements of this train station because my thinking is that we should have about enough space in here to build a little underground subway station, and we absolutely do. So it's going to live right there, and I'm probably going to use move it, I think, just to shuffle it over so it's kind of right there. And then if we use that better bulldozer, we can go in. I'm going to take out pretty much all of these plants, and we're going to try to make this subway look like a bit of an extension of the historic train station, which maybe doesn't make all that much sense, but I think it's a good call. I think it's a good decision. And I will say, I think part of the way we can do this is relatively simple. We just extend this tile surface to go around the subway station. I think that's kind of the easiest way to make this feel like it is an extension of the historic train station. So we'll bring this around as best we possibly can. We're going to go to about there. We're going to bring this to about there. And then these guys just need to sort of connect together at the back. There is a little bit of a line visible, but I'm not super concerned about that. For the most part, it looks okay. And I think what we could do is maybe go in here again with that better bulldozer, take out these bicycle stands, which I think should be there by all accounts, but I'm going to get rid of them because my thinking is we just go across the back of this thing with that same little bush. So again, we're sort of just putting everything together. So we'll bring this down. Spacing is going to be 1 meter. That seems pretty good, right to about there. And it just sort of ties it together. We have got some bicycle stands over here. This thing isn't necessarily on the most perfect bit of terrain, but I'm not super worried about that. I would like to just get some things in here so this feels a little bit more, I don't know, detailed. It is missing some detail right now. There we go. I think that looks the part. We get a little bench back here, and then I decided to use this bench with the cover on it because I think that kind of makes sense. I'm pretty sure this is used for like sports things, and it is definitely a very sporty looking kind of bench, but I think it looks good. It kind of encloses the metro station that little bit better. Also used some dog park poles across the front of this to act as bollards because I just think it was a nice little bit of detail for this space. And all in all, I'm kind of pleased with that. So now what we got to do is just connect the subway tracks so that everything is going to work, which is definitely the goal. So bring this back, and I want to say we could bring it back a little bit further. I don't think we need to. It doesn't need to connect to anything on that side. So all I really need to do is get my double subway track. We want to go underground with this and make sure it's connected, which I believe that's connected. Yep, that absolutely is. So this is going to have its guidelines turned off. We're going to go to here for a second. That's a ground level. I'm an idiot. That's it's not what I'm looking for at all. Can I, how am I going to get rid of that? I hadn't really, I've kind of messed up. Oh, no, there we go. Oh, wait, what did that just do? Oh, that just elevated the entire thing, didn't it? Oh, no. Okay. That entire thing needs to go away now, which is unfortunate because it might mess with what I've just done. Oh, there we go. Everything is sorted. We have this track coming in here, looping around, going to the station. That's good. That is what we're looking for. I do kind of wonder if I could get this section of track to come through here and maybe connect to that. I mean, this station is certainly elevated when compared to that other one. I don't know where this one would go underground though. And I think the thing to do right now is probably to start smoothing some of this terrain. The only problem is I don't necessarily know which bits to smooth and which bits not smooth, because some of this should probably have retaining walls, right? Like this part probably shouldn't be elevated, but then this part in here might need to be with retaining walls. I really don't know how I'm going to make this work. I really didn't think too much about how I was going to make this work. But for now, we'll just hit it with a big old smoothing brush that's basically doing nothing to a lot of the terrain right now. Let's go a little bit bigger. Let's go to 600 on the smoothing brush and just see what that does to this area. I'm kind of hoping we can get something that is going to look relatively decent. And for the most part, it's kind of doing that. So we might be all right with this, and I might be able to get away with some surfaces and some trees and some just hiding my crimes the way I usually do, but definitely thinking there's going to be some work to do here. So with this roughly smoothed out, it's not perfect, is it? It's really not. This road especially, this road is terrible looking. Good Lord. Can I level you out to, I don't know, that height? Yeah, that's better looking. That is way better looking. Okay. So my initial thoughts here are, this is a one-way road. Is that a one-way road? That is a one-way road. There's a whole lot of one-way systems going on here. So let's see if we can maybe go through here and do some retaining walls on some of this to see what that would look like initially. I'm kind of expecting this to look a little bit terrible, but with some retaining walls, we kind of get the grass to be nice and level. I don't think these guys would be thrilled about a retaining wall right here, but if we did do retaining walls, I could have this entire section of grass just be level and we could just turn it into like a big park. But then the problem is if I did that, I can bring things down here for people to walk around, but then they would have to get across the train tracks. And yeah, I'd also have to do retaining walls on these roads as they dip down, which might look kind of terrible. And this will also completely get rid of the need for me to smooth this area, which was kind of the whole point of what I was doing. But if I do just increase the height of all of this, just so we can get an idea of what it would look like, we would be looking at a retaining wall that looks something like this. And I've got to be honest, I'm actually not against it. My only big issue here is the shadows. I really, really don't like how City Skylines 2 handles shadows when it comes to retaining walls, but I almost want to say I could make this work. And I almost want to say that I don't know if it makes sense, but I think I can make this work, and I think it could look kind of interesting. I do also happen to think that we might need some key walls on some parts of this, like here, for example, because that terrain is now lower. And then on this side as well, weirdly enough, we also probably need some key walls to kind of keep things nice and flat. And then over here, same thing with some key walls to sort of do all of this business, which does ever so slightly complicate things because we're now dealing with elevated sections of track as well, which is always fun because it, you know, does this. It doesn't really play nicely with the road sections, which is very unfortunate, but I want to say I can make this work. I'm not 100% sure that I actually can, but I think this is how we're going to do it. I think we're going to keep this section of the section of land is just going to stay elevated is how we're sort of going to do this, I suppose. I really don't know if it's gonna look good at the end here, but we are gonna try. Now, in doing all of this, I realize there is a particular downside that I'm gonna have to deal with, and that is the fact that I am giving myself way less space for buses to get in here, and I don't quite know how I feel about that. That might be a problem. That might end up being a really bad thing. But we're gonna just see what happens is what we're gonna do. So this bus line gets moved back into there. This one gets moved into there. This one is moving into there. You're gonna move. That's a new line. I don't want to do that. You're gonna move into there, and you're gonna move into there. We still have this little blue line, which I think is the only one that's not placed. So we'll move it into there as well, and then just get rid of the new bus stops that I put down this way. They didn't really get used because I didn't really run the game while I was doing all of this, but that seems fine. I'm sure I'm not gonna deeply regret my decision to just absolutely cram a bunch of buses into a tiny little bit of space. I'm also looking over here and thinking that it might be an idea to just get rid of parking on this road. I think that's a pretty solid idea. We definitely don't want people parking on this section of road, which I'm realizing is still a whole one-way system. This bit isn't a one-way road though, so maybe that should be turned into one, which I'm really hoping isn't about to completely mess with what I'm doing here, and I get a horrible feeling that it's going to. All right, so with things running, we're seeing quite a bit of chaos. The trains are obviously having some trouble, which is fine. That's going to be a given. But something I'm also noticing that's still happening, and I don't know if this in particular was fixed at some point with Cities 2, but every time I bulldoze a building, the residents of that building tend to just stand on the sidewalk and never leave. They just stay there. They never go anywhere, and it is a little bit problematic. Now, I'm pretty sure there is a mod that deals with this, but for the time being, what I'm going to do is just delete them, because that's an option that I have. Basically, all these really compact clusters of people that you can just see standing around, they will just stay there. So the easiest thing for me to do is just go and delete them, and that'll hopefully help with my my performance a little bit, because otherwise the game is going to continue to struggle, which it's doing anyway. It is very much doing anyway, and that is something I'm aware of, and I do apologize for. I'll be honest with you, haven't upgraded my PC in a couple of, well, not a couple of years. I upgraded it maybe a year ago, just over a year ago. It's just Cities 2 is kind of a performance hog a lot of the time, and I haven't done a major upgrade to my PC yet because I don't want to go and get like a top 40 series graphics card and then a month later Nvidia's like, hey, here's the 50 series or whatever. I want to wait for whatever the next gen of graphics card is going to be before I do a full PC rebuild thing, because I've done that before. I bought a 3080 Ti, I installed it, and then like a month later it was like, the 40 series coming soon, and it was it was just really annoying, honestly. So I'm just kind of just waiting, because it'll be soon-ish, I would imagine, that we'll see a new generation of graphics cards, right? That's the goal, basically. I want to build a machine that'll run City Skylines 2 at 30 FPS. That's, nothing. I don't feel like I'm asking for a lot there. 30 is, I'm pretty sure 30 FPS is actually the goal. I think that's what they're aiming for with City Skylines 2. And I think I talked about it when the game came out that, reasonably speaking, 30 FPS is kind of okay for a city builder. I know 60 FPS, it should very much be standard these days, but 30 for a city builder is okay. It would be nice to have more than that, but I don't think we're getting that with City Skylines 2 for at least another. It's not even a graphics thing. Let's be honest. It's not a graphics processor. It's a CPU thing. Like, the game just does a lot. There's a lot going on. So I don't know. I don't know enough about Cities 2 and hardware specs to really comment too much on it, but I'm thinking, 4 or 5 years from now, I'm pretty sure I can get this up to 60 FPS. I don't know if that's a good thing, but I think another 4 or 5 years and we'll be there. Anyway, before I start filling in the rest of this space, I want to clear out this corner of buildings because there is another German building that I would like to build, and that is going to be the elementary school, because it looks like this. And I just think it's such a beautiful building that I think it deserves to be in here. I think right on that corner is a wonderful spot for it. You get off the train, you look down there, you see this beautiful German building, and there are some others. We do have a German high school as well. And I'm going to be honest, if I could get it in here, which I could if I got rid of the props at the back, I think that would look really cool. But unfortunately, that's not going to be happening, I don't think. Could I get it over on this side? No. All right, we'll do the elementary school right there. I could clear out some of this space, but I love this building. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. So it's going to be staying. This little park. Wait, when did I do all this surface work? You know what? We're not going to worry about that. I'm getting distracted again. The elementary school has got some upgrades. We have a gym extension that can live there. We have an extension wing. It can live right there. And then around this thing, what I think I'm going to do is just try and get myself a little bit of mixed housing with the German theme. Although I'd like to maybe leave a little bit of space so I can do a path down here. And over on this side, well, I don't know. I don't know that these buildings are going to look all that good, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. It might be an idea to just see what else we can build in here. Because obviously we could build another little police station right here. I don't think that would look too bad, but we could build a little firehouse. I think it looks pretty good. It's if a little bit small. It could definitely use a little bit of something there to make it a bit bigger. We have a fire station, which is obviously designed to be a wall-to-wall kind of thing. So I think what I might do is this guy. I think that's gonna be the coal. And I think what I'll do to make it kind of fit in is I'm gonna build myself a little 2-lane road, and it's just gonna go, let's see, make sure it's ground level. It's gonna go, I want to say here. Now I'm not 100% sure how the terrain around this area is gonna work all that well, but we'll go for this, and that looks all right. We'll get ourselves a little fire station on this corner because it's got the little tower looking that way, which I absolutely love. And we're going to give it a garage extension on that side, and we're going to give it one on that side as well. Again, sort of supposed to be wall to wall. Not really super worried about that, because I think what I can do is maybe just go back in to find it maybe go back into buildings, maybe back into mixed buildings, and we're going to search for German, and we're going to find something that works on this little space. In fact, I'm thinking a corner might be the way to go. I think we get a little corner building that works really nicely, and I think we just pave around this. I think we have some fun with this. So this guy right here looks pretty good. God, the sound of that tower is awful. I think 4 by, ooh, that almost works. That sort of does work, doesn't it? It's a little big. I think I'm going to stray away from it. I think I'm going to stick with the 3 by 3 because I just think it fits that little bit better, but it's very tempting. Very tempting to go for the larger one. I think we'll do this one, and I think we'll just, we'll zone that so it, you know, doesn't go anywhere. And I think we'll lock the buildings level so it doesn't go anywhere. And I like that. I think that's okay. I think we can play around with this. We can get some detailing around it, a little bit of landscaping, some paths, some surfaces, all that good stuff. I think that's pretty solid. I would almost be tempted to bring a little stretch of road just down through here as well, so that this side of the building is completely in line with things. And then maybe in this little space, just because I can, just because it's there, little tiny parking lot. I don't know if we need that. I'm gonna maybe I can do something better in there. Maybe we got long parking lot. Nope, that's way too big. Small parking lot. Nope. Canopy covered. The canopy covered would work if I got a little alleyway through there, but it is quite small. The modest parking lot though would also kind of work if I did a little alleyway through there, but I think we might be good. I think we might be all right. I might be overthinking this space. Oh, I've got to be honest, looking at this and kind of thinking about what I'm going to do with the detailing around it, I kind of want to put the high school in here as well. Now, we have to keep in mind, we do have an elementary school over here already, but I think we could be a little bit cheeky and take out all of these guys. I think we can get away with this. I'm going to take out this little parking lot as well, just because I kind of need to. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to take out a bunch of these trees as well, because they really, we don't need these guys in here. We need all of these to go, because I'm going to be doing the trees myself, because of course I am. And then for the high school, I'm sort of thinking, I kind of think here is going to be the spot for the high school. And it's not really designed to be a wall-to-wall building, and we have to keep in mind that it is on a bit of a slope here, which is unfortunate, but it's workable. But it does have a gym extension that goes back there, and it does have an extension wing that goes back there. So this has a capacity of how many students? 1,600, which is great. This little guy has a capacity of 2,000, which is great as well, because we do have all that demand in the city right now. And I think what I'm also going to do, just to get this to sort of sit a little bit better, is I'm going to put a road through there so that this thing is, well, in theory, going to be something we can level out a little bit. So if I just do that, I think that looks better. I do. Yes, this road's now a little bit steeper. Yes, there's a bunch of trees in here, but I think that's okay. And I think we can make that work. We can totally go through with our tree brush and just start to remove some of these guys that we don't want in here. So all of those can go away. I think this looks solid. I think we can detail around it, which is going to be great. I am considering a little building down here because we didn't do the little police station in here. Obviously we did it out in the village, but we could do a little police station. Or would the police headquarters fit in here? Almost. If this was an alleyway, the police headquarters would absolutely fit in here. I just don't know. I don't know that I want them. You know what? I do want them. I absolutely do. So you know what? Swap this out. That is now going to be an alleyway. We're gonna have to play around with some key walls here because the terrain is a little bit weird, but that's probably gonna be fine. And we can go in and we can say police station right there. And you know what? It doesn't look too bad. It really doesn't. I'm sure it's got some extensions as well. It's got the office extension for the back. Absolutely. And it's got the garage. That looks amazing. The little alleyway there with the garage right against it. Big fan. Big fan. Very, very pleased with how this space looks. Don't love the welfare office in the middle. Not gonna lie, not a huge fan of that, but I think it's all right. I don't want to get rid of the welfare office. It's been here forever. I think it'd be the wrong thing to do. I do want to just do that though with those key walls so that things are a little better on that side, so that the terrain's not messing with it too much. And on this side, it's kind of tempting to do the same as well. Very, very tempting to do a key wall down here, but it would mess with that path. So you know what? I think the welfare office is in a good spot. I think these German buildings around it look absolutely fantastic. We do have some spaces here to play with in terms of getting some terrain work going on, but I'm excited to see what this will look like once we get some surfaces through here, once we get some detailing through here, and once I figure out what's going in this corner, because I actually don't know yet. But I think for now, what I'd like to do is just come through here with some surfaces. I want to go for a nice little grass texture in here. It's not the manicured one. It is the other one. Oh, we do have a little bit of tiling there. I don't think I'm super worried about it. We do have this grass texture that already exists in some of this space. Not really super worried about that either. This is just going to go the entire way around all of this space. It's going to go right down. I'm pretty sure. Ooh, you know what? We might only want to go this far with it. In fact, maybe this far, because we have those tiles. We have this little bit of space where some traffic could come out. I think that'll be okay. And then for this guy, I'm going to go to here. I'm going to go to here, and I'm going to go to there. And that's going to be about as far as this goes. Now, the one thing I worry about is that this might overlap the gravel that goes alongside the train tracks. So I'm just going to have this very closely follow the curvature of the surface that's underneath the tracks already, so that we don't mess with things. We might end up with some little gaps in this surface. I'm not really super worried about that because I think it'll still look fine. This just needs to go right down to here, right around this guy, down to about that corner, down to this corner, and right to about there. And that looks all right. I think we can work with that. Now, I still haven't fully decided what exactly I'm doing in this space, and I was thinking of doing some paths and things like that, but I guess we're probably going to be using some concrete surfaces for that, and that's probably fine. Although in saying that, I do know that these paths, the actual paths, are much easier to curve than the concrete surfaces. So let's see. Can I overlap ooh, okay. I think we can make that work. I don't mind that. I think this is going to go back to about here, and that honestly looks okay. As for this guy, I think we have a little path that goes down to about here, and that seems fine as well. This bit back here is just gonna be a bunch of trees. I'm not really super worried about all that. This bit up here, I'm thinking we turn off a lot of our snapping. We just keep the angle snapping and be turned off now. And we'll just do this, so it runs into the end of that road pretty nicely. As for the rest of it, maybe a little straight section of path right here, so that I can get this all to connect together kind of nicely. I don't love that. I'm not gonna lie, not a huge fan of that. I think this section of path can maybe go straight down just a little bit longer, though I do need it to snap properly. So to about there, and then we'll just curve this around as best we possibly can. A little something something like this. I think that's a bit better. That surface can be messed with. I'm not really super worried about it. And then over here, I think we want to come straight out to about this spot. And then what I'd like to try and do is actually have this sort of curve there and curve right about, say, there. Take out these guys, and we'll just have this be how we connect everything together. So we'll have a section of path go as close to the middle of this as we can get, which is about there. We'll continue it to about there, and then this can connect over right about there. And that looks all right. That's a way people can kind of walk from down here to up there or up there. I could, if I wanted to, continue this section of path in a nice straight line, which I'm not against doing, and then maybe actually connect it up here as well. That might look kind of neat, actually. So at this point, I'm kind of thinking that the best thing I could do is my tried and tested method of just putting bushes around an area like this, which I think it's a nice way to sort of make a space feel a little bit enclosed without just putting fences. And I'm going to be honest, part of me is trying to avoid putting fences today just to prove a point. And now that I've pointed that out, it really doesn't matter if I prove a point, but I don't think, at least as far as I can remember so far, I don't think I've placed a single fence today, which is good. That's that's progress is what that is. We'll call it progress. Whether or not it is doesn't really matter. In saying that, I am thinking that I would kind of like to get rid of these guys. I don't think I'm going to do these little bushes around all of the paths. I think that's maybe a little bit excessive, but I would like to do them around the road sections. I think that kind of makes sense, just to sort of enclose things away from the roads. And again, make it kind of obvious, like, hey, don't drive onto this grass. Not that anybody's going to, but again, in saying that, it is Cities Skylines 2, and somehow Cities Skylines 2 traffic is, it's not bad. I'm going to be honest. I've seen some people saying, oh, it's worse than Cities Skylines 1. It has its moments, but it's definitely, I would say traffic in Cities Skylines 2 is at least more interesting is maybe not the word. Entertaining, I think, is the word. Just some of the things you see them do, I think, is a lot more entertaining than traffic in Cities Skylines 1. Because about the only thing they did in Cities Skylines 1 was sit there. They didn't really move much, at least not as much as you would hope they would. That was kind of the problem with traffic in the first game. But yeah, I think it's more entertaining in Cities Skylines 2. I'm also kind of thinking that, you know how I just said I wasn't doing fences? I do kind of think it would be a great idea to do some kind of fence alongside this. I do think it would be a good idea to do some fences alongside this this train track. I just don't know what type of fence to use. I don't want to use something that's like horrendously industrial. I kind of like that one. I think that's maybe the play right there, as we use this little fence. Yeah, I like that a lot, actually. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna, oh, it changes color, doesn't it? Wait, is the whole thing gonna oh god, not again. I don't think I have the mod enabled for this playset that stops it from doing that either. Okay. maybe some hedges would be the way to go on that. I think hedges seem like a pretty solid bet. So we'll go for a nice tall hedge, and I don't think it's going to get messed up too much by variations. In fact, the tall hedge kind of blends in better. So yeah, this is definitely the right call. Oh yeah, that is so much better. And it just works perfectly to do what I needed it to do. Okay, next thing we need to do is come in here with some nice big trees. I want some oak trees. I don't want a brush. I just want a single tree, if you don't mind. And I'm gonna try to get it as much in the middle of that little triangle as I can. I think that looks pretty solid. And then the same thing down here, except I'm kind of thinking that an alder tree. Oh, please tell me the game hasn't crashed. Okay, we're good. Oh, every time. That's the problem with Linden, man, is this save is so unpredictable. It's a rough time. It really is. It's a really stressful time playing in this save, because you never really know if you're gonna lose your last 10 minutes of progress or not, you know? That's kind of the issue with Linden is yeah, you never really know if you're gonna have to redo all that stuff you just did. Would you look at that? I'm actually really pleased with this as well. It's simple. It's not a whole lot of detailing. There's not a lot of small bushes and things in there, but I I think from a distance, it's nicely enclosed. We've got space for people to walk around. It's more space for them to walk around than they had before. And of course, it is all built using these beautiful, beautiful German buildings. I'm really, really, really pleased with those. I can't stress enough how much I absolutely love them. Got a little bit of detailing going on back here as well. I decided to bring this surface out a little bit and just kind of play around with it, put some poplar trees in there and just make it look that little bit better. Absolutely, absolutely love this. Also, absolutely no idea what to do with the rest of this space right now. I kind of think realistically, as much as I kind of enjoy what we have going on here, I need to shrink the amount of space that we're using because a lot of this is going to be pointless, really. A lot of this space is going to be used for very little. It's casting shadows in a lot of these roads. So I think what I'm going to do is go in and take out some of these retaining walls because that frees up some space here. And I think that's a good thing. Take out this one as well, and then swap out the retaining wall on that side for a key wall so that we're basically just sort of dealing with the terrain down here. I think that's going to work a little better. I think over on this side, we're just going to take, well, maybe the retaining wall could stay on that side. Maybe that middle platform sort of stays kind of elevated, but then the rest of this just gets lowered down and I can put some zoning in there or even some parking lots. It really doesn't matter what I put in there. I just think it's going to be better than what I've kind of got going on right now. So we'll see. We'll see what we can do here. I can at least change all of this into some sections of key wall. And I think what we're going to have to do is try and slope it to this road. I think that's kind of what the terrain needs to be doing here. So we'll get a nice little small brush, maybe about 30. We're going to start here, right about there. We're going to go from here and we're just going to smooth this out and we're going to just do this and get an idea of what this is kind of going to look like, which is basically that. And yeah, I think that's going to be the way to do this. I think that's going to be the easiest way to do this. So again, we kind of slope down from here. We'll take all of this out. It's a little tricky, but it's doable. I think we're onto something here. So smooth this out and just lower down to about there as well. And then from here, we want to go down to this road. So we want to just slope all of this as well. And does that look okay is going to be the real question here. I do think we're missing a little bit of key wall right there. I think it looks actually kind of cool. I think it looks kind of interesting, actually. I'm not against that. This bit of terrain in the road, I don't love that, but I actually don't mind this. I kind of like the little key thing going up against the concrete wall there. This is a disaster. No idea what's going on there, but there we go. That seems to be fixed now. Yeah, I'm okay with this. I'm actually quite okay with this. And then we kind of have the same thing going on this side as well. We still have some weird terrain in the road, which isn't great, but we can absolutely fix that just like so. I mean, yes, we still have this giant retaining wall here, but I don't hate it. I really don't. I would, however, kind of like to shrink this little section because I would kind of like to get some buildings in there. But I think what I might do is try to get some German mixed housing in here or medium density housing, just kind of across here. It might be kind of interesting. I don't know if that's actually going to work though. Maybe we should just go for, I don't know, French offices might be the play here. Let's have a little bit of a look and see what we can do there. So we're looking for French and we're going to be looking for, is it just office that I'm looking for? Yeah. So is there a 2x, are these all 2x on the corner? No, there's what I'm looking for. Nice little corner building there. It's, I don't, I don't know about this. Let's try 3x3. We'll search specifically for 3x3. I think they're all kind of going to look like this. Oh, hold on. This one's a little better. It's a little lower, which is kind of what I'm looking for. I don't mind that at all. I would like one to be going to the right though. is kind of my thinking. So that's a level 5. I don't want it to be level 5. I want it to be level 1. So right about there. And it's kind of the same height as the wall, so I'm okay with that. I'm very much okay with that. Let's see if we can get so 3 across. Let's see if I just search for by 3, because we need them all to have a depth of about 3. So this is a 1 by 3, which is pretty solid. This is a 3 by 3, which is a pretty cool looking building, if a little, maybe a little bit much for the space. Now, we get anything else that's going to fit in here? I think they're all going to be a little bit much for the space. We have this, but I think I've built that somewhere already, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. I think the rest of these guys with the orange roof are all going to be, they're all going to be corner buildings, aren't they? So I might have to go with a whole bunch of these buildings, just the same building over and over and over again. And I don't know that I want to do that. Although, to be fair, that's kind of exactly what I'm doing here. If I just use these guys, it's just the same building over and over and over again. So I don't know. I don't think I'm going to block the German buildings. I don't think I'm going to bring these offices the entire way up this road, but I think for this like initial space, we can kind of get away with it. So let me see. Can I get a nice little corner on the left side here? So this one, and right about there is kind of where I'm thinking of capping off these French buildings. I think that kind of works. So now I just need to fill the space in the middle, which again, sort of unfortunately, I think is going to just be a bunch of these guys. So 1, 2, 3 of those. Are they even going to fit? Oh, they are, really annoyingly. They absolutely do. Okay. I don't love using the same building over and over again there, but I want to say that we kind of have to. I also do really enjoy this little alleyway going up the back of them. I think that's really cool. So yeah, I think we can live with that. I'm thinking we can live with that. Let me just zone this with some French office buildings. Let me lock you and lock you. I'm not worried about the rest of them. In fact, I kind of am, because there's different zoning in there, but I'm not going to lock them because we'll just see what happens is what we'll do. We'll just see what happens. I think it'll be fine. So a good chunk of the landscaping has been done in front of all of this, although it does look like we have some buses down here that can't move, and I'm pretty sure the reason for that is that there are going to be some people around this area that are invisible, but very much standing and kind of blocking the way for the buses to get through. So I'm going to need to kind of just, there we go. So there were some people that would have been blocking it back here. The buses can move now though, which is good, assuming they don't stop further down the ramp, which it is looking like they are not going to do, even if the game is running terribly while they try and do it. All right. So the landscaping around here is relatively basic, just a bunch of bushes, some trees, all that good stuff, just to kind of line this space a little bit. We do have some paths through here. Not too sure how much they're going to get used, but for the most part, I kind of want to keep this area at least somewhat open so you can kind of see the German buildings back behind the central station. That's kind of what I'm going for. But when it comes to these spaces over here, I realized we have some signature buildings I can play with, such as the German department corner building. And the reason I like this is because I could put it right here and then turn this space into some kind of plaza. I figured that would be kind of cool. And then we don't have to worry about this side. It's obviously just a wall, but it's facing the train tracks. So it kind of makes a bit of sense. At least that's what I was thinking. And then up this way, we have the German Department Row building, which could go here, for example. And again, I mean, this side is just a wall, but it's right next to a transformer station. This side could be next to some buildings. And the way I was kind of thinking of doing that was going in here and getting myself some German mixed housing. And the way I would like to try and do this, at least the way I would hope this would work, is something like this. Basically, we just kind of leave this space open and I can do some surfaces in there. I can do some hedges down the side of all this. In fact, I kind of want to search for it now. If we just go German mixed, as we usually do, we have some options. We have these slightly larger ones, which is great. I don't know what the sizes are in general for these things. It looks like 5 or 4x4 might be the largest we have. We do have some 2x6s, which would admittedly fit in there. It's very tempting to go for the 2x6s. We have some 3x6s as well, which again, admittedly, I mean, the reason I was going to leave that gap at the back is because I know some of these buildings have doors on the back, but like this one, for example. But if these guys just have the flat walls or windows, I'm really not all that against the idea of just using those instead. None of these seem to have doors, which is honestly great news. This one as well. I think that's what we're going to do. So I'm gonna be honest, I don't really know what to do with this elevated piece of land. So I've covered it in trees, and honestly, I don't hate it. I don't mind it. I've also brought a bunch of buildings into this space. I used a park that I almost never use to get this space looking kind of interesting. At least I kind of like how this has turned out, and I've just generally surrounded this space with stuff. That's kind of what I've done. We've got a little bit of a market going on back here. Looks like we have a train that maybe doesn't want to move right now as well. That could be a problem. There might be some people stood somewhere there shouldn't be, such as, it's just a bunch of dogs. No, that train is moving now. Okay, well, that's good. That's something we don't got to worry about. But I will say, I really like this little revamp to Emerson. There's a couple of times I went in here over the past week when I was sick, and I completely bulldozed Emerson to see what I could do with some of the buildings, and I would place like 2 things and then immediately be like, I don't know what I'm doing. I've got no idea. So I really didn't get all that much time to play with the German assets. And part of the problem that I was having was actually to do with zoning, because we just don't have that much demand for, or any demand for, residential zoning at the moment. So that causes some problems. That definitely makes things slightly tricky, and it definitely complicates things, but I'm not super stressed about it. I'm not going to stress too much about it because we will get that demand eventually. Although what I think I'm going to do is just put some commercial building back there, just because we might as well get some commercial stuff going on back there. Although I would like to ever so slightly redo that, because I'd kind of like the buildings up here to get priority, if that's a thing that the game's going to be willing to do. That's a little bit better. Let's redo this section, see if we can get something a little bit better in here. I'm not really too sure that Cities is going to want to work with me here. Does that look okay? That looks fine. And then if I zone all of this, what do we get across the back there? We get some buildings. Yeah, I can I can work with that. That should be totally fine. I'm pretty, yeah, they're instantly complaining about not enough customers. That's fine. Honestly, this whole space, I'm willing to just let it develop as per usual. The main thing I wanted to do today was play with the German assets, and I think I've done a pretty good job of that. It's not exactly a German inspired build, I will say. Obviously, it's not. It's very much not. I don't know. I like the look of this. I like the older kind of buildings. Like here, you know, you got these older buildings, and across the way, you just got like these modern skyscrapers. I like that a lot. I don't even think this building would be, I don't know how old this building would necessarily be. It doesn't look that old. I don't know. I know nothing about German architecture. I really have no idea. These ones, I would imagine, are a fair bit older. But again, I really have no idea. I am very pleased with this, though. I think it's a cool little revamp. I think it's the historic central station, which is absolutely fantastic. We got our little metro connection down here as well. There are passengers waiting for that, which is great. People can get out both sides of the station. The only downside to leaving at the back of this place is you need to walk the entire length of that alleyway to get anywhere, because I didn't connect it across with paths. But you know what? We're not going to worry about that. Anyway, I think that's going to do us for today. Obviously, there are more region packs coming to Cities Skylines 2, so we will be coming back to Linden in the not too distant future to play around with some more of those, especially that UK pack. I think we could have a lot of fun with that pack out here in Victoria Glen. Very, very much looking forward to that one. But like I said, that is going to do us for today. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. It has been an absolute pleasure as always. Columbia County is going to be back tomorrow, in case you were curious. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.